got all my supplies ready to go. So step one is going to be flattening out my clay. So I'm gonna pick it up and I'm gonna slam it down on my canvas, and I'm gonna do that away from the water, but I'm gonna do that so I'm like actually slow motion would be pulling it down on an angle. So again, like slamming it down on an angle so that my slab starts to get bigger. If I can tell, I've got way more than I need. Which I can tell. I'm gonna take some of that off and I'm gonna put that in my bag and save it for later. That way it stays wet. So since it's flat, I don't wanna keep slamming it down because otherwise it gets too flat in some areas and it's just kind of not even. So then I'm gonna take my 2 wooden dowels and I'm going to put my rolling pin on top. And I'm standing, I'm also pushing from the center, not the handles, because otherwise I only make the sides get to the touch of the dowel and the center is too big. Okay, so I'm gonna stand and push and roll gently. Now, I know I already have my design ready to go, so I know I don't need to turn this sideways, but if I needed to pick up my slab and turn it this way to roll, notice how my slab is already too big that the rolling pin doesn't even hit the wooden dowels. So that makes those wooden dowels useless. So just be careful of that because then you tend to roll your clay way too thin. Now my clay's starting to go off the mat. I definitely know I don't need that much. So again, chop it off, put it in my bag, save it for later. I might even do the same thing on the bottom or just recenter it. Okay, once I notice that my clay's not getting it's not like changing anymore, like that means that it's the thickness of the wooden dowels. So it's literally not rolling anymore because it's already flat, okay? So then I'm done with the rolling pin, I'm done with the dowels. Now I'm actually going to take my pre-cut design with my pencils done, and I'm going to actually place that somewhere on my slab here to make sure it all fits. There we go. And notice how I placed the pencil side facing down on the clay, okay? So now my next step is to take my hands and gently rub it back and forth just to put a little pressure. I don't want to push so hard that I'm doing that and flattening it out. And I want to make sure I go around the edges. And next thing I'm going to do is check to see if my pencil line is starting to print off. So you can probably see some of it is printing off, some of it I should have done a little bit harder probably with my pencil, then it would be easier for me to see. I don't take the whole thing off because if I take the whole thing off, it's really hard to put back on and match it up perfectly. So I'm gonna check the other side and do the same thing, and then I'm gonna focus where I can see it's not printing very well. Next thing I'm going to do is cut around my design. I'm trying to go quick so that my paper doesn't get so soggy that it rips. And the lines only need to be dark enough for you to see. If I can't see them, it doesn't matter. It needs to be you, the one who's actually making it, that needs to be able to see it. Okay, so that's plenty dark enough for me to see. Then I can get rid of all of this. And this again is extra, so it goes in my bag to stay wet. And I'm gonna probably just gently smooth out around the rough cut edge.